All right, so this is TradingView.com. If you need to set up an account, you can click Get Started right here. If you're already a member, you can log in by clicking here, this little character. So let's just click Get Started and see what this is all about. So we can sign up on pretty much any plan, free, but there's many limitations to the free plan. The plan, as we said, that we recommend is the Plus plan. As we scroll down, you can kind of see what's included with the Plus plan. You can have 10 indicators on a single chart. You get a ton of data in there, as well as this little key feature right here, data export. So the optimizer actually holds the data for the whole day that you're trading, and then we can export that data at the end of our session and study it. And that's what we need this plan for. You can always upgrade to the premium level as well, but if you want to get started, this will do. This plan also, they will probably send you a 60 to 70% off coupon if you sign up for just the monthly and pay it by month. I also know they run big discounts for 60 to 70% off at the 4th of July and Black Friday. So just keep that in mind if you want to get that cost down. So you can keep scrolling down the site and learn a little bit more about everything that TradingView offers. See just kind of information. They have an iPad app, they have a phone app, they have a desktop app. Just some basic statistics on the information about TradingView and some FAQs about TradingView as well. Now we can click on products, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at market data. So if you're trading futures, we need a data feed to hook up from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So we're going to click on futures, and we're just going to scroll down until we see CME Group. And if you do not have this data feed activated, the data that's inside of your TradingView platform is going to be delayed by 10 minutes. All you have to do is click on this, learn more. And what you can do is go ahead and subscribe. It will bill right through TradingView at $7 per month, and you'll have your data. Now that data is the direct feed from the exchanges for futures contracts. There are other data feeds for stocks, Forex, crypto. We can even click more. But for the most part, everybody in here is trading futures contracts. So that CME data feed will cover it. So that CME data feed will cover all the data you need to trade those futures for YM, the Dow, or NQ, the NASDAQ, as well as S&P or ES. Now we can go up and take a look at this downloads option here. If we're on our phone or our iPad, we can select mobile app, or we can choose to download a desktop app. So that would be where we could download TradingView directly to our computer, whether you're on Windows or on Mac, and then see how I have this shortcut right down in my tray. Basically, the reason that I use the desktop is because when I was using the web-based version of this, I usually close out all my browsers so I can focus on trading, and I would accidentally close my browsers in the middle of a trade. So I just eliminated all that and went right to the desktop. The key thing is it functions the exact same on the desktop version as it does on the browser version. We don't have a recommendation one way or the other, so whichever one you're most comfortable with, feel free to use that. So now that we're logged in and we're scrolling around and we're like, where is our chart? We can always just click right here and go to the symbol that we're interested in. So if we want to look at Dow or YM, we can look at our June or whatever period of contract you're on. We're recording this right now while the June 25 contract is what we're trading, and you can just click Launch Chart. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through all the buttons on here, and we're kind of going to go around the world. The first thing we do is I'm going to start down in this bottom right hand corner. I'm going to work my way up all the way around and all the way down the toolbar, and we're going to get you set up. All right, so let's start with the question mark. Basically, there is a help engine in here, so you could type in anything you want. How do I save a layout? And what it'll do is it'll go in and answer your question, basically a little AI engine. All right, so that's the help center, and we can go ahead and close that out. Next thing is, if you want to set up any notifications here, I don't use a lot of the features in here as I'm just day trading and taking my trades and closing down for the day. There's also a community aspect where you can read other people's ideas and things that other traders are doing. I don't really concern myself with that too much because what we do is truly unique using data. This is for options. I don't do anything with options, so not using that. They do have a calendar in here. I've been using Forex Factory Red News forever, so I just kind of stick with that. However, you can get in here and you can see by flag which country the news is heading for. Economic news for tomorrow, Friday, March 28th at 8:30. We're going to have core price index, personal income month over month. We can go in and look at only high importance. We can also go in, select categories, also go in and go to settings, and we can kind of see here, we could select countries. So if we just want US, we'll only have US based news in that calendar. Great little feature. I still use Forex Factory, not a big deal. You could use this one as well. Screeners. Don't really use any of these as well. This is to look at massive lists of stocks and different instruments. Nothing that I need to concern myself with. Here's a chat. So if you ever get a public chat or a private message back and forth, we can see these messages. I use Telegram, so I don't really use that feature. This is the object tree, so it's going to show you everything that is on the chart. It's a great place. Once we do some drawings on here, we can come back and delete them. There's also an alerts function right here. If you want to set up any alerts, I don't use alerts because I like to actually be fully in the zone when I'm trading. You'll know what that means a little bit later. You could set up a watch list right here of your symbols. I only trade the YM, so I don't really use that feature. But if you're trading NASDAQ as well as S&P or maybe some currencies or gold, you can set all of that up inside of here for quick access. Publish, I don't publish anything. If you want to take a screenshot of your chart when you're doing exercises, just click this button right here and you can download image. And we can see it goes directly to our computer desktop. And we've taken that image and here's what it looks like. Okay, working our way over, we can go into full screen mode if we click this button. Now we don't have any of the stuff and we get a little bit extra bigger of a view. To get out of this mode, do not panic. Just press the escape key and it'll bring you back to normal. Now let's start digging into some settings. So here's our actual chart settings. So let's go through some of these menus here. You can move these settings around. As far as symbol goes, we can look at, we have candlestick bodies right here. I choose to have mine just regular dark green and red. The borders and wicks I like to have black so I can see. We are selecting electronic trading hours, so we can trade 23 hours a day if we want. If you select regular, it will run from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. Precision, I just say default, don't need to change anything there. For our time zone, we set it to New York time because that's the 9:30 open, so we want to make sure we're looking at that correctly. If you choose to set it to your time, if you're in the Pacific time zone or Central time zone, even Mountain or Alaska or London, just make sure that you know how to convert the time over and you're not missing anything because the time is not matching East Coast time when the market's open. Status line, we can go in here. We can select logo and it will get rid of the little logo right here. We can select title, get rid of the title. Open market status, this is the little green dot you see right here, market open. Chart values, bar changes, volume, we can get rid of that if we want. Titles, so this is for indicators, so this is where you see what indicators are on the chart. We can get rid of the titles if you want. We can add the inputs so you can see what the indicators are set to and what the values are. We can also get rid of those if we want to. Going through scaling. So basically we can see it's pretty much preset. I do not like overlapping labels. We can scroll down and see the additional settings. I do like the countdown to bar close, which is right over here, this little clock. It's counting backwards until the next candle paints. Going down to time scale, day of week on labels. So when we come down here, we can see that we have our day and date. As we scroll through, we see it's Thursday, 27th of March, 2025. That's the date format if you want to change the format. And we're using the military or 24-hour time format. So 1600 is 4 o'clock, 9:30 is 9:30. As you pass noon, 1 o'clock becomes 1300, and so on. Save chart left edge position when changing interval. This will save it so you don't have to keep scrolling back as you're doing your research. And moving on to the canvas setting, you can see we work with a gray background. It's actually scientific. A white background when you're trading will end up giving you snow blindness, and a black background, things will start to wave and look real crazy after a while. We don't use any grid lines. And you can see we have our text setting to black and a 14 font. You can change that. There's also margin settings. We don't really change too much of that. Moving on into the actual little trading tab. Now you notice we have a buy sell button right here, so we can do instant order execution. Go ahead and check that, and you'll see up in your left corner, this is where we click sell to go short and buy to go long. Instant order placement, that way it goes right on your chart and you can use your brackets management. When you enter an order, you can select what sound you want to play. There's a notification setting, so you can set it to all events and it will fire a notification down in your bottom left-hand corner that your order's filled, when you've hit a stop loss, or when you've hit a take profit as well. You can also set it so it will only show rejections of orders. For appearance, we have positions ticked, we have profit and loss showing ticks, and we can get rid of reverse button on hover, and we have our orders as well as our bracket profit and loss set in ticks. You can select to show it in money on both, or select it as a percent change. We uncheck execution and execution labels so that we don't have to see all of that clutter on our charts from past trades, as well as we want to extend our lines for our current positions and orders. You can have it paint on the right, center, or left. We choose to paint it on the right so we can keep an eye on it. Moving on to alerts, we don't use any alerts, but these are the factory checks and events. These are the factory checks that will pop little events up in your bar. So if we look down here, we can go ahead and click OK. Now in that settings, we can look down here and see there's a little event right there. So we can pop it up and it will show US stocks end down as auto tariffs weigh, and it gives you notes and alerts throughout the day. Now there's another settings menu tucked right down here. And if you click on that more settings, it takes you right back to that settings menu that we were just in up here. So down here now, if we select this menu, it's going to show us some different things. We do have that electronic trading hours selected. We don't need our plus button on. We have lines, we have different lines. We want to see where our price is, so we have that on. Our previous day close line is on. We also have different labels, so you can explore what labels you want on the chart. If you come down here and you hover this auto fit right here, if we uncheck this, what we can do is we can actually scroll this bigger and smaller. When you select auto fit, it's going to crush everything down that's fitting on the chart, and you can scroll and it will hold. You will not have the ability to move the chart vertically or expand it. So if you uncheck it, you can see then how you can move the chart and it might disappear. If you see your chart and it looks like this and it's disappeared and you want to see everything, simply double click with your left finger on the pricing scale and it will bring your chart back into focus. If you want to lock that up, go ahead and select that auto, and it will keep all of your information in the chart window. Now this is your layout setup window. So you can see There's different layouts. We can have just one window like we have right now. We can have 2, 3 in different formats. We use some of these in the optimizer template or layout. Now, when you get into using multiple different types of layouts, you can sync the same symbol. So if you change to NASDAQ, it'll synchronize across all the windows inside of that layout. What's really great about this tool is if you just hover over where it has a little eye for information, it will explain exactly what everything is. Now, I learned TradingView by just basically coming in here for one weekend and clicking on every single button. You're not going to break anything. Now, if we make a change, let's just say we accidentally click this and it moves this down. There's a really great feature inside called undo. So all we got to do is click that undo button. I love the undo feature. You can pretty much fix anything you break by clicking undo. So just looking at a few of the other buttons, I don't really use the replay, the bar replay. I don't use the alerts. This button right here will show your indicators so you can see your favorites that you've saved. You can see the private invite only scripts you've been invited to that are locked unless you have an invitation. Moving on, we are using candlesticks. There's other ways and settings here, but we don't use any of those. Time frames. So we work with multiple time frames. We work with the minute chart. So what we can do is we can click that little star. We work with the 5-minute chart. We'll click that star. The 15-minute chart, the 1-hour chart, the 30-minute chart, and we work with the 4-hour and the daily chart. Some people are using, and I do as well, the 15-second chart. So when we favorite those, look what happens. Now we can just easily be on this time frame, do a quick analysis. Maybe we want to go out and see the 5-minute time frame. Maybe we want to see the 15-minute time frame. This is the compare or add a symbol. I don't use this button, so feel free to explore what it does. This is our button where we can change. If you want to look at NASDAQ, we can just look at NASDAQ right here. Be sure to select the correct contract. And now we've loaded the NASDAQ chart. As you can see right here, it's showing you what symbol is up. So this is what happened on NASDAQ today on the 1-hour chart. You can take a look and see the 1-minute chart. And all I'm doing to scroll back and forth is I'm holding down on the left mouse key and just moving the chart, and I can see what went on all day long. Once again, this is our profile and all of our information. We can use a dark theme if we want, and that will change all of this outside edge to black. It also changed our chart to black. So we can go back to that light theme. And well, this is great practice for the undo key. Now we're back to normal. So we can go ahead and even click save right here to make sure that we've got this version of our layout or our template saved. Now you can see on my screen, we're actually using an arrow. Sometimes you see crosshairs. So what we do is those are called cursors, and we can switch it over to a crosshair. And now you can see we're using a crosshair to navigate the chart. It comes in handy if you want to look and see specifically at what time, what price, and what level things are moving. Now, this is where we're going to start your custom toolbar right here. All we got to do is add that to favorites. And I like to switch back and forth from crosshair to arrow, so we're going to add the arrow to our favorites. You can see now there's a little toolbar here. We can move that toolbar right up there. And now we have quick access to swap between the crosshairs and the arrow. Moving down, we're going to be using some charting tools as we move through the modules. The first one, we're going to use some trend lines. So what we can do is go ahead and favorite that. We're going to also use vertical lines, so we can go ahead and favorite that. Now you see we have trend lines and vertical lines saved. If you want to use Fibonacci, this is how you can select and add Fibonacci's to your favorite. The next tool that we use is a text box, so we can go ahead and favorite out our text. There are different types of text. I just use the basic text function. Now, a lot of times you'll see me boxing things in on my charts. I like to use the rectangle function for that. And you can see now that we're favoriting all of these, our toolbar is filling up. Lastly, there is a measuring tool. So if I want to measure the move and how far it went, you can see right here that we click on that little measuring tool. It will tell you how long this move took, by how many bars and how many minutes it took. It will also give you ticks and points. So NASDAQ, for example, is 4 ticks per point. So you can see we moved 298 ticks or 74 points on this particular move by the numbers in the top line. How many bars and how many minutes on the bottom line. And that corresponds to whatever time frame that you're on. So if we wanted to see a move on the 5-minute chart, we could go and measure on a 5-minute chart, and it's only 9 bars to go 45 minutes, 207 points, and 829 ticks. And once that's painted, you can just move away from it and click anywhere on the chart. There are a lot of features, functions, and tools in TradingView. It's a very rich platform for resources. It can be a little bit overwhelming. You can just click all over the place and explore. And remember, if you do something that you want to change, all you got to do is click that undo button and catch it. Now moving down, I don't use the stock screener, Pine editor, strategy testing, or replay. Trading panel. Now trading panel, and this is your bottom panel that you can lift up. This is where you can connect your broker. So to start off with, you can activate paper trading so you can trade simulated results until you get that consistency down. Once you have that down, then you can select a wide variety of brokers. Once you sign up for one of these brokerages to connect it, all you're going to do is go ahead and use your credentials, type in your account number and password, and click connect, and you will be hooked into your broker and your P&L will be inside of TradingView. All right, so let's use some of these drawing tools. We can start off with our basic trend line. Let's say we want to connect a couple of points on the chart, just like this. All we're doing is clicking on that trend line tool. We can change the color of our trend line to whatever color that you want. Just hover over the trend line and you can see where we can add text. So I could just say this is a short trend. You can type whatever you want in there. Here is your font size, the width of your line, as well as your font color. There's other settings here. So you could do a dashed line if you like. Solid line. Here's where you can change the font size of your text, or maybe you want to have white text, italicized. Where do you want the text? Maybe in the center of the line, or you want to put it on the bottom, or even striking through on the middle. So you have a lot of options, very flexible. Now, if you want to leave that on your chart, that's fine. If you want to remove it after you're done with it, simply just click on it and either go ahead and click remove or just click your delete key and that will take that away. Now, here is our vertical line tool. So what we can do is just drop a vertical line on the chart. Same thing, we can change that vertical line coloring to whatever we want to use. We can change that thickness and make that vertical line thick. We can use text. We can open up the settings and change our text to bold, italicized, in the middle, vertically. So we can just type in test text. And you can see that text in there. Also, if you double click, it will reopen that. We can increase that font size so we can see what we're looking for. And remember, when we're done with it, we can delete it, we can lock it, we can do all sorts of different things here. You can even add an alert to this. So once you cross that line, it will trigger an alert for you. There's also 3 handles over here where you can sync it across all of your layouts or just on one layout. I don't really use a lot of those advanced features. I just use the basics. Same thing with text. If I want to put some text on here and mark, maybe I want to say, hey, there's a single bottom pattern right here. And I can drag that text right there. We can change, of course, our font, our color, whatever other settings if we want that bold or italicized. And of course, we can delete that. Finally, the rectangle tool. I use the rectangle tool a lot when I get into range where maybe the market is just chopping in a very short area. You might even see me type in words like kill box, so I stay out of those areas until we break out of there. Same functionality as all the other tools. You can double click on it. It will pull up all of your text and your options here. And of course we can just delete it. We can set an alert when it breaks. We can do all sorts of really cool things inside of here. Once again, I use the basic functionality to great effect inside of this tool. If you ever need to access your indicators, all you have to do is go over here and click right here. It says the number 3. That's how many indicators are on this template. And there's settings for the indicators. You can hide certain things if you don't want to see them on the chart. You can also delete them. Hey, whoops, I didn't mean to delete that. All I got to do is go use that handy undo feature and it'll come right back. And remember, everything is in your settings, so we don't see our one-click trading. We can go back to trading, go ahead and hit our buy sell buttons. Now the reason they didn't save was because we didn't save the actual change we made to the template. So always go back up here and save the changes you made to your template or your layout. So when you close and reopen, those features will be there. Okay, we can see that we have our paper trading account activated. And what that's going to do is give us the ability to take either buy or sell, go long or go short trades on our demo account inside of TradingView. These two numbers in the middle, the first one represents the size or the number of contracts, the size of your position that you're going to be trading. This number right above it is what's called your spread. So when you connect your broker, that spread might be different. So what we're going to do is go ahead and let's click a sell order and it executes instantly. And what we're going to do is let's go ahead and first set our take profit. So let's say we're going to go down here 38 ticks from our entry. Now we can see we are trading one contract -1. That means we're going short. It's painted red. We are actually -3 ticks. So the trade is going against our position. This is our stop loss. Now we're going to move our stop loss just right up here. And that's how many ticks we are risking. So we have a -5 stop loss in place. You can also see how many dollars that is right here. It says USD. You can also see right here our profits 190. That's what we have in our settings. If you remember, when we had the settings for trading thing open, it showed us that we could see dollars and ticks inside the order. There's our stop loss that's hit. That's how that works. Now, let's put a buy order in. And we can see we've executed one position. It's now painted blue and it does not have a negative sign in front of it. And let's just put this up here. This is just a sample. And what we're going to do is let's put our stop loss down right here. And now we can see what's going to happen here is our trade is either going to go up and hit this take profit area, or it's going to come down and hit our stop loss. This is called brackets management. It's very easy. If you want to cancel the stop loss, you can just click that X. If you want to cancel the take profit, you can just click that, and you see all of those levels come right back to your entry point. As of right now, there is not a stop loss or a take profit set. So we can make sure that we always want to have a take profit zone planned and our stop loss planned. And we'll get into this more in the trade management module. This is just to show you how to actually click that buy and that sell button and what these numbers mean. And to close the order, we can go ahead and just click and it'll shut down everything. Down here is where you can see those messages. We know this is incredibly exciting and you want to get started moving forward as fast as you can. But a thought before you start flying. Proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance. So it's really critical that you set up the proper foundation with these tools and know how they work before you move forward.